Hi, thank you very much for tuning in, and here I feel inspired to bring some clarity on the phenomena that we call ego. And I will not talk about the phase where we just pointing fingers at each other and holding each other as enemies. I will talk now about the phase when we start to interact with seeming enemy inside of us. And there is emphasis on word seeming, because it doesn't have to be an enemy, and it is actually designed to be an ally. But first of all, let's lay some foundations to get a clear understanding on what that phenomena that we call ego is. So by growing up and living in this world, we acquired various experiences, various conditioning, various programming, and all of that in combination, in compilation, creates our sense of identity through which we interact with this world. And we are unconsciously, innocently just identify with that sense of identity, and then blindly follow the impulses of that identity, which based on limited and limited conditioning. And then we get into trouble, because a lot of experiences and conditioning and programming that we receive in this world are going against our innermost truths and our natural way. And there is usually lack of acknowledgement, appreciation, love, and education, the proper education about those things. So then through lacking that, our sense of identity becomes sort of negative and feels separated, feels lack, and then all kinds of conflicting dynamics takes place. That's how we get into trouble. And that's when some of us, starting our spiritual awakening process, which essentially leads our attention out of that ego mask to again reconnect with our purest sense of identity, that boundless identity which was before all of this conditioning and programming were taking place. So then we have more expanded sense of identity, and in that sense, in that space, we start to notice that ego, that voice inside of us. And then we can start to interact with that voice, with those thoughts in various different ways. And at this stage, some of those ways can lead into subtle but also severe traps. When, for example, we acquire higher truths, higher justifications, and that negative sense of self, that negative ego, which is not integrated in love, it can then hide behind our new sense of identity, and this is what we usually call a spiritual ego, based on our new knowledge, experiences, practices, and without proper maturity in that, we can start to fight that other self, to still separate self from self. And sometimes we can even go into a victim mode, like there is some kind of evil inside of me that's hurting me, and then I need to get rid of it. And when we try to get rid of it, then we just fragmenting our own sense of self, our own consciousness, our own energy, because everything that we are experiencing is just our energy, taking various shapes and forms, reflecting various shapes and forms, even if those forms we call something other than me, something even alien or like an enemy. It is still a projection and interfacing with our own consciousness, our own energy field. So yes, everything we are experiencing is us. And when we have some kind of negative relationship with some parts of our energy and not allowing that energy to integrate back into seamlessness, into wholeness of unified self, if we not allow that integration to take place in a conscious, compassionate, and loving way, then this energy will still seek integration, but then it becomes our shadow, which slips in unconsciously in our daily experience, into our relationships, and creates all kinds of turmoils just to get attention. And some beings, even some spiritual masters, can still forcefully fight that and ignore that and justify their ways of doing things. That's why I said it can be very severe problem. And yeah, the more conscious you are, the more sophisticated lies you can create, even without knowing that. That's why it is very good to slow down and open up, to go back to humility and to face all of those things that taking place in our experience, to address them again with compassion, with love, as our own energy, not as something separate and evil that may live inside of us or in others, or in some kind of mystical way. And also it is not good to see it as just empty illusion, just to ignore it, as it is not something significant, when it still holds some kind of emotional charge or some kind of still unconscious behaviors. So yes, it is our energy. Yes, it is illusion, as in whatever shape it appears. Yes, that shape is illusion, but that illusion is created out of our own energy, our own consciousness. So we notice that, yes, it is very, very important step in our spiritual evolution and in general in evolution for our greater well-being. Yes, so it is necessary step to, yes, to step back and to separate those programs, those dynamics that taking place inside of us, to acknowledge them, to know their nature. But then also very, very important step that follows is reintegration, purification and reintegration of that energy, to still feel that seamlessness, that, yeah, that we have this like central and formless sense of self, and we also have those extensions of self that appears as various belief systems, thoughts, emotions. So yes, we separating them, we see their nature as those appearances, but we also feel that underlying unity of our consciousness, of our energy that connects and activates and deactivates all of that. So yes, so then we can change our relationship, change those beliefs, change the script, shapeshift that energy, or just drawing that energy back into formlessness. And then we can start to shape those different ego masks which are needed for our interaction with our given environment. That's why this ego is. It is just a tool for interfacing, for relating, for expression. So yes, so then we can do that consciously. We can shapeshift that mask to express our truest will, which is based on unconditional love. But without unconditional love, we also cannot sense and know our true will. Because then, if our love is conditional, then yes, our consciousness is fragmented and confused and so on. So yes, so we need to see that everything that we are experiencing is our energy and our relationship to ourselves. And then, yes, we just accept ourselves as all that is, that we are experiencing, and will experience. So, yeah, so then we can gather all of ourselves into this present moment, into this direct living relationship with everything, which is most accurate. And yes, then we feel our true will, and when we feel that unified will, then yes, then it is easy to express it consciously through our mask, through our body, through our mind, in the most integral way. So yes, the essence is alchemical transformation, to separate, to purify and reintegrate our own energy. There is nothing else, because everything is one and one is everything, even through our individuated perspectives, because it is the nature of reality, which is holographic. And it is also a cyclical process. When we appreciate and learn from various stages in our transformation, in our evolution, when we use more limited sense of identity, then we gather certain experience, we mature through this experience, and we appreciate that experience, we learn from it, and then we expand into more expanded state of consciousness and sense of identity, where all previous masks just dissolves in their integrity. But yes, all kinds of sense of self is an ego. So it is like mask within a mask within a mask, or dream within a dream. And yes, there is infinity of those formats of ego. So ego is neutral, it is just a sense of identity. And we naturally move from one sense of identity to another. So it's all well and good, and I just wish for us to experience that evolution as smoothly and enjoyably as we can. That's why I shared those insights, that clarity, that wisdom. So then we cannot fall into those various traps, and then we can very, very consciously can participate in that natural evolution and expansion of that sense of who we are. But yes, essentially that truest self is formless. It is always that formless self that takes various forms and moves from form to form, like also from life to life. So it's good to notice that, to hold that awareness of the formless self and the form in which that sense of self takes place. And then just get the best out of those forms, out of those containers of experience and interactions. Deep inside, knowing that you are free. You are not bound to any form. But form, yes, it is your way of experiencing, exploring, expressing, and receiving various gifts from that ocean of infinite beingness and love. So, much love to you. Thank you very much for receiving this message. And yes, if you resonate, let's be in a loop. And then See you later. Bye.